Kelly Sue Deconnick ruins Aquaman. I thought I would review the latest issue, issue 49, but before, take a quick gander at this. I don't know if you remember your biology classes, your physical anthropology classes, your sternum, your rib cage, your collarbone. What is this? What? This is your rib? What the hell is it doing? Is there something? Maybe there's something I don't know about the character, but this isn't. Ribs connect to something. I guess the floating ribs are down here, but what is this connecting to? It's freaking bizarre. Aquaman 49 was a very, very dull, mediocre issue. I actually saw this and I thought, oh my gosh, it's gonna be woke, it's gonna be cringe. And then I read it and it was woke, but it wasn't cringe. Actually, it's got 5 or 6 issues. I think it has 5 issues out, and it's gonna do a 6-issue run. It's actually better than Aquaman, by the co-creator of Miles Morales, Brian Michael Bendis. It was a little SJW-y, but it was a fun story. It was my expectations were subverted because I was expecting it to suck, and it was actually pretty interesting. Anyway, I assume this issue 49 was a transition issue. Okay, no problem. I like a good book. That covers the backstory. That's fine. It might have been a fun story, except for the insertion of Kelly Sue Deconnick's feminist ideology. In the back of my mind, I thought, oh well, if you just overlook the feminism, it's not so bad. But then it occurred to me, why should we be forced to overlook the feminism? Aquaman, a book probably created by a man, marketed and sold to boys, written by an insane feminist who hates men, Kelly Sue Deconnick. Something doesn't add up here. Why isn't a man writing this book? I know it's not politically correct to say it, but boys grow up reading comics. Doesn't it make more sense to have a man write it? But mainstream comics isn't about selling comics, they're about pushing propaganda. For so many of these mainstream comics, I'm saying to myself, oh, it's not so bad, there's just a little feminist cancer. Then I catch myself, how low have comics sunk where even a little feminist cancer is acceptable? Is this propaganda or escapist fantasy? Well, it's propaganda, but it's propaganda that you have to pay for. If you're paying $4 for a comic, you have the right to expect it to be free of feminist cancer. On a related note, the blonde-haired dude is a total wimp. The male protagonist should be strong and assertive, plenty of confidence, firmly based on accomplishments. The whole interaction between Blondie and Red is a weird power dynamic. He is a little too much of a silly Billy for the theme of the story. Let's take a look at this. This is your character. That is a little bit of an unusual expression on his face. It just seems, I don't know, light. How do I say it? The story starts with Mother Shark. She's sort of a combination of an Earth Mother, the Fates, and the anthropomorphic Death, except it's sharkopomorphic, or calcarodon-pomorphic, sort of a Leviathan old god character, and it's very, very cool. Mother Shark instantly makes this story much more serious. It's a very dark element that grabs the reader by the balls, or psyche, and commands their attention. It's a Lovecraftian sort of horror. The reader doesn't know if the shark is real, does it exist on the plane of existence, or is it merely an idea? Blondie is talking about his possible reincarnation. Then the next few scenes with Red and Blondie having him smirking and simping while Red talks about feminism, abortion, and the patriarchy. They're kissing underwater. I think to myself, if they go any further, she's going to get a nasty infection. Blondie doesn't look like a water god. He looks like a hipster. There's a really weird scene where Deconnick has them joking about Red proposing marriage to Blondie, but Deconnick can't commit to the bit. She floats the idea of a woman proposing to the man, but immediately chickens out and has the guy say, I mean, I already proposed, but if this is an equality thing, I'm all for it. This feels like such a cowardly cop-out on Deconnick's part. If she is really committed to the feminism bit, have the woman propose to the man. But Deconnick wants it both ways. She won't put a female in a position of vulnerability. She can't have a female possibly risk rejection, even though she's the author and you sure as heck know that nobody's going to get rejected. That's the problem with SJW writers and their purse puppy characters. They aren't multifaceted. A crystal is interesting and beautiful because it has facets. SJW characters are more like a plane of glass. Maybe to stretch the analogy a bit further, I'll say it's a mirror where the purse puppy characters is an idealized reflection of themselves or an idealized portrayal of a marginalized and oppressed character. Except, of course, the character here, Red, is some sort of superpowered fish girl, queen of the sea, who is the exact opposite of marginalized or oppressed. In one of the earlier panels, she says, "There's not a man or woman alive can make me act against my will, and you know it." In a later panel, she says, "Wait, do you mean to tell me the world holds different standards for men and women in power?" This is probably a reference to the 2015 elections, where two very unlikable candidates were involved in the greatest S show on earth. One candidate was a douchebag, but the other candidate has had a history of lying about things that were easily verified. When you have the choice between a liar and a jerk, pick the jerk. My point is that Deconnick is just grinding an axe from several years ago. If you're paying $4 an issue, you expect your product to be free of the writer's own biases. It's selling less than $30,000, so Deconnick isn't actually pushing her propaganda to too many people. Anyway, I assumed that issue 49 was a transition issue, so I went to issue 48. Issue 48. This has a much better cover. This is what you think of when you think of a comic book. Even though I understand the absolute necessity for transition issues, that's fine. As long as the transition issues are followed by they have to be worth the wait. Anyway, a weird thing Deconnick is doing is in both the issues she has. The female characters are playing a central role. He's surrounded by these women. Women are caring for him, feeding him. Women are taking care of him. It's a bit weird. He goes in the water. Oops. Let's see. I think this is meant to be. It feels like she's going for a certain. She's trying to make this thing more powerful than it should be because it kind of reminds me of the commercials for guys selling cologne or perfume or something. I don't know. This is effective. He's going down to meet Mother Shark. I don't know why he's not just swimming down, but I guess he's mimicking death. He's drowning down. He meets this giant Leviathan. Calls herself Mother Shark. And this is I Am Mother Shark, and I've been waiting for you. This is all very, very interesting because it's you think Lovecraft. Look at the size of that shark. The shark in the background, just a monster. You think Lovecraft, and you're thinking Cthulhu and big, big concepts. He's talking about his resurrection, and it's interesting. It's more interesting than he's going through his memories. This is a great shot of the shark. Is this real in reality? Probably not. It's just an idea of the eater of the dead, the eater of souls, the shark existing on a different plane of existence. It's very, very effective. I like that shot a lot. But again, this issue is kind of slow. So you have issue 48 and 49 are both pretty sure this is a good shot. Both very, very slow. Human beings are brittle creatures. More of this could fundamentally change you. All right, so they're going through the backstory. That's fine. And then I went to issue 49, but I just lost interest. There are better ways to spend your $4. Anyway, like and subscribe, and leave a comment. And probably want to spend your money on something better. Anyway, thanks for listening.